Good evening. I wasn't planning on getting online and speaking to you this evening, but somebody talked me into it. Actually, we, over the last week, have received our property tax bill for the spring and fall. And then just here today, I received my notice of assessment of land and structures improvements from the state of Indiana. And I don't know if you've received one of these yet, if you are a homeowner, if you've got your notice of assessment. But my annual adjustment of assessed value went up approximately $59,000. Now, if you've heard me talk about property taxes in the past, I'm going to make a very, very clear, plain, simple statement right now about these two documents. We do not have a property tax cap in the state of Indiana. We have a cap on the percentage of your assessed value at 1%. But as this document clearly shows, my property taxes are going to go up significantly because they raised my assessed value almost $60,000. Folks, our state government loves to lie to us. They love to tell us what we want to hear and omit the other part. That's not telling us the truth. That's not being transparent. And here we are, the night before the midterm primary election, and they have sent out their tax documents to tell us that our taxes, our property taxes, are going up. And you know what? They expect us to go ahead and go out tomorrow and cast our vote for them again. And my question to you is simple. How long? How long will you, a citizen of the state of Indiana, continue to let the Indiana Republican Party, by way of the supermajority in the Indiana General Assembly, continue to raise your taxes, and you keep voting for them? You keep supporting them. And you buy into this notion that, oh, well, it would be worse with the Democrats. No. Why do you think the Democrats are almost a forgotten entity in the state of Indiana? Because with Republicans that do this, we don't need no Democrats. Folks, we need to wake up. It is time to realize that they are abusing the citizens of the state of Indiana. This is an abusive relationship between the people who control our state government and the citizens of the state of Indiana. And I beg you, stop buying in to their BS. There are liberty-minded people who believe in smaller government, lower taxes, safeguarding your individual rights, who wanted to run in the primary tomorrow on the Republican and the Democrat ticket, both, who were kicked off the ballot by their own parties. Why? Because they didn't want the competition. The Republican Party kicked people off simply because they hadn't voted in primaries. They don't want representatives who represent citizens. They want people in office who represent them and their special interest donors. They don't care about you. If they did, they wouldn't lie to you and tell you your property taxes are capped and then raise the assessment so they can get more money out of you. There is no cap on your property taxes. There's a cap on the percentage of the assessed value. And they will continue to raise the assessed value of your property so they can continue to dig deeper and deeper into your child's college fund, into your retirement, into your summer vacation money. They don't care what happens to you as long as they continue to get the money they need to fund their $16 billion and growing a year budget, where they take money and they funnel it to their friends. And if you don't think that's what happens, you need to take a closer look. All you need to do is look a little bit at what has been going on with the Republican legislators or previous Republican legislators who were recently indicted for corruption in connection with casinos. Those weren't Democrats, those were Republicans. I'm telling you, folks, we are in trouble in the state of Indiana. We are in trouble because we vote for people who are wolves in sheep's clothing. They say they have the same values that you have, but they don't. And they don't care about your individual rights. That's why the governor of the state of Indiana closed down places of worship at Easter 2 years ago, because he doesn't care about your individual rights. He cares about making a certain group of people happy so they'll vote for him. We have problems in the state of Indiana, and they're not getting fixed. We are being played a big con game. Oh, we're putting some legislation out here in the General Assembly, and we're going to hold a public meeting and take public comments, and we're going to vote, and nothing changes. Yes, we got constitutional carry. Isn't it amazing? We're so happy that the Indiana Republican Party finally gave us back the constitutional right James Madison provided for us 235 years ago. Come on, man. I had people, Well, why can't you be happy that we got constitutional carry? Because we got constitutional carry when the Bill of Rights was signed. We don't need the state of Indiana General Assembly and the governor of the state of Indiana to say, oh, you can have your right to carry a firearm. My gun permit is the Bill of Rights, the Second Amendment. So the fact that they took it away and then decided finally to give it back, that I'm not going to pat them on the back for that. And I'm not going to pat them on the back because our property taxes are only 1% of our assessed value. That is a shell game. That's a red herring. I don't care what you call it. It's BS. Because there are senior citizens who are going to get these assessments and it's going to price them out of their home. They won't be able to afford their mortgage. And if they don't have a mortgage, they won't be able to afford their property taxes because they're going up. Folks, it's time we said enough. And tomorrow, if you haven't early voted, I strongly encourage you to send them a strong message and stay home. This isn't the general election where you need to vote for somebody. This is the primary where all you're doing is patting them on the back and letting them know, yes, I'm still one of your faithful followers. Well, it's time to tell them, guess what? We've had enough. We're not voting for you anymore. We're not supporting you anymore. We're not going to donate to your campaigns anymore. We're going to find liberty-minded candidates, people who are honest. They may not be college graduates. They may not have MBAs. They may not have law degrees. They may not have multi-million-dollar businesses, but they're Hoosier citizens who understand what lower taxes mean, what a more responsible fiscal policy, a smaller state budget, smaller government, less intrusive government, and the safeguarding of your individual rights. Those are the people we want in the Indiana General Assembly. And if none of them are on the ballot as a Republican or a Democrat, I don't care. I'm voting for somebody who actually believes and will follow through and do what I believe. Not what they put on some TV commercial, but when they'll actually stand up and tell me and talk to me and say, yes, 1% of the assessed value of your property does not make capped taxes. The way you cap property taxes is to say, if we're going to keep doing property taxes, it's going to be 1% of the value of the home when you bought it. That's what we need to do. It's time to make sure that we understand what is important. And I can tell you what's not important. It is not important that we make sure that the Republican Party or the Democrat Party likes us. What's important is making sure that they know that they need for us to like them. They need to put up or shut up. They need to pass legislation to reduce and eliminate the unnecessary taxes that have saddled Hoosiers and Hoosier business owners to the point where they are losing their homes, they're losing their businesses, just so members of the Indiana Republican Party can keep padding the wallets of their friends and donors. And it needs to stop. It's time for us to say too much is enough. Yeah, that's a great that's a great point right there. We have a $5 billion surplus, and they're still raising our taxes. It is time to stop. We need to realize what's truly important. And what's really, really important is that it's time to say enough. And that means we need to get away from the primary ballot box, quit feeding their egos, quit supporting their taxpayer-funded private nominations, and let's make sure that they know that if they don't straighten up and fly right immediately, November, they're going to get what's coming to them, which is a seat on the sidelines. It is time to elect regular Hoosier representatives who understand what it is to try to scrape up enough money to buy their kids clothes in the fall before school starts, who understand that it's frustrating when you can't fill up your gas tank because it costs too much, because the price of gas has almost doubled. And yet, we have a gasoline excise tax that was raised in 2017, 10 cents, and now automatically goes up a penny a year at least, without the General Assembly having to vote on it anymore. Folks, I'm frustrated. I'll be very honest with you. I am not happy. I am tired of all of this. If the people in the General Assembly were doing what they are doing as private citizens, they would be under indictment for criminal activity. Our government is defrauding us. They are extorting us. They are treating us as if we belong to them, and we don't. You see, I am a sovereign individual, endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights, among which are life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness as defined by me, not the government. The important part of that I want to focus on tonight, and I want you to think about real hard before you go vote for these people tomorrow. Property. James Madison said that what separates a free man from a man who isn't free is property ownership. But see, these documents prove I don't own my property. I don't own this house. I don't own this land. The government does. And I have to pay them for the privilege to continue to live here. Because if I don't, they'll take it from me. Think about that. You don't own your house. Even after you pay the mortgage off, you don't own your house. They do. And why? Because we let them. Think about that. Let that soak in. Hopefully, you'll get as mad about it as I am. That's what I hope. And I know too little, too late, but I sure hope that people start thinking about this, and come November, we do something about it. Thank you so much. I'll let you get back to your evening. If you didn't see already, on Wednesday morning, after the debacle tomorrow that is the taxpayer-funded private nomination of two private organizations candidates, and let me say that again, the primary election tomorrow is a taxpayer-funded, you're paying for two private organizations, the Indiana Republican Party and the Indiana Democrat Party, to select some of their nominees for the November election. Not all of them, just some of them. You don't get to vote on who's going to be Secretary of State candidate for the Republicans and the Democrats. They do that at their convention. State treasurer, state auditor, oh no, you don't get to do that tomorrow. That's at their convention. Think about that. You pay, when you pay taxes, you pay for them to put on this red herring tomorrow. And you know why they have these primaries? So they can get your voter information. So they can get a list of your name, your address, everything on your voter registration card, so they can market to you because you voted in their Republican primary or their Democrat primary. It's a scheme and a scam. And we as Hoosiers need to realize, if we really want true election integrity, the way we start is by stopping these primaries. Make them fund their conventions and do all their nominating at conventions and quit playing this game. Or make primaries open to everybody. You see, I believe that the state constitution and the U.S. Constitution define the requirements to run for office. And therefore, anybody who meets those requirements should be allowed to be on the ballot. You shouldn't have to get 50,000 signatures, 75,000 signatures, signatures from every congressional district or from every county. That if you meet the qualifications in the state constitution or the federal constitution for a federal office, you should be allowed to run for office. And if that ballot is a mile long, so be it. That, folks, is a free and fair election. What we have in Indiana doesn't even come close. There's nothing free or fair about the Indiana Republican Party and the Indiana Democrat Party running elections, making it so that they can continue to do what they're doing and keep control of things, and suppressing the ability for anybody they don't want to participate. That's wrong. And we're going to talk about that more on Wednesday morning with Jeff Maurer, the Libertarian candidate for Secretary of State here in Indiana, at 8 o'clock Wednesday morning. Jeff and I are going to have a conversation, and we're going to talk about election integrity in Indiana. And we're going to talk about his three-pronged approach, making sure that every ballot is a paper ballot, whether you fill it out by hand or whether it's a machine that prints out a paper ballot. We want every vote recorded on a paper ballot. Jeff and I both want that. Jeff and I both believe that you should get a receipt that matches your ballot, so that there's a serial number of some kind that you have on your receipt, and your ballot has it, so that there can be a fair audit. And as a matter of fact, that third piece is that we believe, Jeff and I both believe, that every election in Indiana should be audited prior to being certified. Independent audit of every election, not just if somebody goes, oh, I think there's a problem. Nope. We do the election on paper ballots, we count them, and then we do an audit to make sure that everything's on the up and up. Then we certify the vote. That's how we get started. So, folks, join us on Wednesday morning. Jeff and I are going to talk about these and other things. And just skip voting in the primary. Send them a message. I don't belong to you, you belong to me. And I don't have to tell you whether I'm going to vote Republican or Democrat. That's none of your business. You should have to work for my vote. And folks, please always remember, when they say to you, oh, but if you don't vote for us, the other guys will win, all they're doing is trying to scare you. And if somebody has to scare you to keep you with them, we call that abuse. Don't be abused by your political party. Thank you so much. Have a great evening, and we'll talk to you Wednesday morning.